And yeah, I skipped a week. Yeah, had a lot of stuff going on and whatnot. But I am here, wanted to do an episode this week of the Triple W podcast. And I didn't want this week to go by without doing one. So this is episode 13. And like I said, I missed last week. So I'm going to just jump into like this week and everything else. So we're on the road to Money in the Bank. Which takes place in my hometown, Chicago, Illinois. And so we have a few Money in the Bank ladder matches that will take place that night. And I'm not pretty sure of like the other matches, but I think I mentioned it before that I don't understand why they are doing these. I mean, I understand it, but I think that they should have gone back to what they did with the first brand split, where they had each month would basically go to a certain brand, or it'd be co-branded instead of every single one being co-branded, because it's like now, before this recent brand split, it was like you had less people to juggle around and put in matches or whatever. Now you have more wrestlers than ever, with new wrestlers being brought in just to SmackDown or Raw, as well as some being called up. Though some of them are getting let go, you have a lot more people that are being brought in than let go. And so it's like with this Money in the Bank, I felt like, because I think the tag teams have a Money in the Bank, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be three of them. It would be the co-branded women's Money in the Bank match, the co-branded men's Money in the Bank match, and then tag team match, which I'm not entirely sure, but I believe I heard something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say yeah, but the ones that have been brought to the forefront were the ones in the men's and women's ones. And so, yeah, I just hope that this ain't going to be too long. It doesn't need to be 6 hours. It doesn't even need to be 5 hours. It really doesn't even need to be 4 hours. If you got the tag team Money in the Bank ladder match, those 3 matches that could take over 30 something minutes. At the most, you should have like about 5 or 6 matches. Maybe 2 championship matches and 1 like regular match. Whether it's for a title or whether it's a match with a rivalry from whoever. And then the other matches be the Money in the Bank. And it doesn't necessarily need a 2-hour kickoff show. But any case, let me just go ahead and get into my thoughts of Raw. And so basically it starts off with Reigns coming out, and he's talking about Jinder, how he screwed him and, messed up his chances for qualifying in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And so basically, he gets denied an opportunity by Kurt Angle, telling him that upper management said that he wasn't going to get any more opportunities at the title because he's basically gotten a lot of opportunities lately, and he didn't kind of, not succeeded in capturing gold. So yeah, so he gets on a tyrant, and he basically says that, it was Jinder's fault, so he's going to go find Jinder. Kurt Angle allows him to go out the ring to go find Jinder in the back, and he comes across Jinder. They get into a squabble in the back, and basically it ended up leading out to the entry ramp or whatnot, when Roman Reigns hits him with the Superman punch, in which after that they're stopped by officials, in which Jinder Mahal can get away. And that basically leads to, I'm looking at my notes right now, I should have connected those two, but that leads to later on what happened that night when Reigns speared Mahal through a wall, which Kurt Angle told Mahal that he's going to have to beat in a triple threat match, that is going to have to happen, that he's going to compete, that he wasn't to the point where like he couldn't compete, which it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Just in storyline interests. Whatever. And so he gets speared through a wall by Roman Reigns, which Roman Reigns did the whole, he didn't say it, but I guess you could feel it in the air, doing the whole Braun Strowman thing, I'm not finished with you, and spearing him through the wall, which takes him out of the match. Later on in the night was a triple threat match, which would have basically it would have Lashley and Elias Lashley versus Elias versus Jinder Mahal. But since Jinder Mahal was basically not able to compete after the spear through the wall by Reigns, Owens took his place after they had after Owens had a kind of like face to face with Kurt Angle and how he feels like he's being screwed, and so he went behind Kurt's back. Well, not really behind Kurt's back, but he went and contacted Stephanie, which Stephanie basically put him up in the triple threat match, replacing Jinder Mahal. So he got 2 chances to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match, in which he ended up winning due to interference by Sami Zayn, in which he did the haluba kick to Lashley, and he allowed Kevin Owens to do the frog splash onto Elias. I don't know why I was thinking Dolph Ziggler, but he did the frog splash onto Elias, ended up picking up the victory. So now he is part of the collection group that's going to be in the Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And so going back, so after that, basically next one I'm going to talk about is Rollins versus Owens. Earlier in the night was when he basically challenged Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship, which it was an open challenge or whatever. And so coming out on top, as we all kind of knew, Seth Rollins, he ended up winning, and it's like he's doing good with carrying the championship. I'm not even gonna lie, he's doing good with championship. He's an over babyface, so I don't have anything against Seth Rollins. I didn't have too much against him when he was a heel, but as a babyface, I do see that he is better as a babyface. And so he's carrying the IC title real well, and I hope that they keep it on him. I say at least, if they're going to take it off of him, they should at least keep it on him, at least until SummerSlam. But I feel like he should be holding this. He should be running with this for a good little minute. I mean, even past SummerSlam. I'll say close to the end of the year, you should take it off of him. But other than that, keep the strap on him. Let him run with it for a bit. And then after that, we had another Money in the Bank qualifying match, which was No Way Jose versus Bobby Roode versus Baron Corbin. And Bobby Roode, however you want to say his name, Bobby Roode ended up winning by pinning No Way Jose to get a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Then we had the newly formed, or the newly named B Team, which comprised of Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, and they went against Breezango, and they ended up coming out victors. Now, they had a whole thing in the back beforehand of they wanted to come up with a name, so it was kind of like a spinoff of The Miz calling himself the A-lister. They wanted to call themselves the A-Team, but then Kurt Angle told them that they couldn't do that because of legal reasons, because there was already there was already a TV show called The A-Team, as well as a remake movie of, the TV show. So instead of just going with the A-Team because they couldn't use it, they wanted to go with the B-Team. And so, yeah, they ended up capturing the win over Breezango. So I don't know. It's too early to tell what's going to go on with, the B-Team or whatever, and what they're going to do with them. I think that they're just going to be a squasher team. They're not going to be in any serious storyline unless they put them with somebody else that's not the Miz, but just somebody that is high profile to where they can watch the back. I would say maybe they could team them up with Elias. That's just one thought, because just look at it. Elias is a guitar playing person who, in his mind, believes that he is one of the greatest musicians in the world or whatever, and his songs is just, the best songs ever and all that stuff. But just picture it. He can have them as not his entourage, as the Miz had them or whatever, but have them as his bodyguards. Have Bo and Curtis as his bodyguards to whatever, stay on each side of him and make sure that the performance go through as as it's supposed to be, and just make it seem kind of similar to the Miz character, but make it seem like he feels like he's just this big star, this big musician that everyone wants to be around, and because everyone wants to be around, he gets targets and stalkers and stuff, and so he hires them on to watch his back. So, I mean, that's just one thing. That's not something that I'm thinking like, oh, it will work, but that's one thing that will probably be decent. hey, who knows? But I feel like that probably would be decent to way to go for them. But anyway, moving on to, we had a match, a triple threat. Well, a six woman tag match with Amber Moon, Natalya, and my sexy baby mama Sasha Banks versus the Riot Squad. That'd be something totally different. But versus the Riot Squad, in which Amber Moon, Natalya, and my baby mama Sasha Banks ended up taking the victory. Next after that, we had the Deleter of Worlds versus the Revival, which you kind of, I don't know, like, I mean, I never did watch NXT. I don't watch it now. I may start watching it. I don't know. But it was like I would hear a lot about the Revival and all this stuff from just podcasts that I would listen to. And they watch NXT and would talk about it and all that stuff. So a lot of these names, though I haven't probably even seen some of these wrestlers or even seen them, wrestle or whatever, their name rings a bell because I've heard their name say over and over and over through different podcasts or whatever. If they're covering the Revival, or if they're covering NXT, or just anything that happens with the particular wrestlers, then it's like I would know them. So yeah, but it don't seem like they're trying to do anything real strong with the Revival. They came in strong, but just quickly the flame just kind of like simmered out, or I don't know how I ain't gonna say simmer out. That would be kind of like wrong. It'd be kind of slowly kind of just going out, because they basically came out with no entrance. Well, on TV, they didn't have an on TV entrance. It was just they were in the ring and it's the Revival. And then after that, you had the Leader of Worlds come out, and so they ended up winning, which was no big surprise or whatever. They have a momentum going on, especially being the Raw Tag Team Champions. So, yeah, that one I really didn't care too much for. But in any case. And so we had another women's qualifier match for the Money in the Bank, which comprised of Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, and versus Mickie James. And so Bliss ended up qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women's side. And I could say I probably would have had Bayley win, but it is what it is. I could see Alexa ended up getting the briefcase and ended up carrying that. I don't know. I'm gonna get my predictions, of course, real soon before the thing take place. But I would have put it in Bayley's hands, but I could see Alexa getting the championship and cashing it on Nia Jax and winning it from her in a sleazy type way. So, I mean, it is what it is. And then, basically, what else after? Yeah, so I only got couple more things to talk about. So we had a match with, what's his name? Finn Balor and Braun Strowman versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, in which Ziggler and McIntyre ended up winning. And basically, I could see them going somewhere with them. They got a little momentum behind them. And with Drew McIntyre coming back with a new physique, because he is a little bit more leaner than he was to his prior stay at WWE or whatnot. And, he went to TNA, and he probably went a couple other places. I don't know. I just remember him in TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever they want to call themselves this week. And so he was there for a good little minute. Now he's back. And so he looks better than ever. He looks better than what he did before. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with him. Dolph Ziggler has been in limbo. I was about to say lingo. He's been in limbo for a good little minute. So to see them finally trying to do something with him, I ain't going to say that it's good, because they've done this before where it was like, yeah, he got this push. Yeah, the crowd is behind him. But then they just turn their heads away from him, like, okay, we're done working with you for these 3 weeks. Let's go to this person, So I'm curious to see how far they're going to take this tag team, and before they eventually end up breaking them off, and then Dolph Ziggler is pushed back to where he was before, where he just really wasn't doing anything, just lingering around, jobbing out, and, just whatever. But, I mean, it is what it is. And the last thing I'm going to talk about Raw was something that dropped even before, Raw came out this week. I think it was last week. Yeah. So WWE was at an event where Ronda Rousey was getting interviewed and about WWE and everything else, and then Charlotte came in friendly, they're wooing, and then Nia Jax said, it's kind of cool, you can woo a little bit, but can you do this? And Ronda Rousey was kind of confused, and and Nia was like, can you hold the championship? And so Ronda Rousey was saying that there's a whole bunch of other girls that's more qualified to go for a championship before I do. And then she said that Nia was like, I'm not challenging them, I'm challenging you. And Ronda would be a fool not to take it. So Ronda, she took it. So now at Money in the Bank, one of the championship matches that will be defended will be the Raw Women's Championship, and it will be Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship, which I'm curious to see because she did kill it. She killed it at WrestleMania in the match with, Triple H and Stephanie and Kurt Angle and everything else. She killed it. She was like, and it wasn't just me. I think I stated it when I did my WrestleMania recap or, results show. It was like, I was amazed because I was basically getting ready. I had I had things to do, so I was kind of trying to watch it while doing other things, and so I ended up finding myself I was in a hurry to try and get out the house at a certain time, but then I watched this match, and then I was doing something else that happened, and it stopped me, and then I had to stay glued. I had to sit down and just watch it because she did awesome in there. I know that was a lot of people looking at us I don't know how she's gonna be, in this full first match, but she actually did pretty damn good. And so I'm a little bit more curious because they said that she was going to be more prominent on Raw, that she was going to be there every week and more than likely have matches, but we haven't seen her have a match ever since WrestleMania. We've seen her from time and time again on, Raw, but it would be just a run out to help Natalya or speak or do whatever, but it wasn't anything significant as far as a storyline goes. And so, yeah, I'm just curious to see how she's going to do with the second match. They should have at least put her in one match in between these matches. I know she's probably still training, probably still trying to get a little bit better than what she was or whatever, because she could have basically fell flat on her face at WrestleMania. But she didn't, but she could have fell flat on her face in between WrestleMania and Money in the Bank. So I guess they're trying to make sure that she doesn't fall on her face. I just hope after Money in the Bank, she is basically going to have more matches. Because if she just pay-per-view to pay-per-view, it's more people just going to be looking like, y'all say that she's going to be here every week like a regular wrestler, but she's more like a Brock Lesnar. She's coming in to have high-profile matches every pay-per-view event. It may show up on a show or two or whatever to speak or whatever, but other than that, she's not really doing anything. But I just hope that they do more with her after Money in the Bank. But I am curious to see who will win. As far as who I think will win, I'm going to say that for the prediction show. But I guess you probably already know my predictions for that. And so moving on to SmackDown Live, giving you guys my thoughts. So at the start of the show, Renee was in the ring, and so she introduced Daniel Bryan and interviewing them. And the crowd was really pumped, as you can tell, because as she's trying to conduct the interview, they just kept saying Daniel Bryan in the back. And so it really was it really couldn't be ignored. So they had to address it. Even Renee stopped and kind of smiled and let them get a few Daniel Bryans in, and then tried to conduct it again, but it was still going on. So Daniel Bryan had to just kind of he had to input it inside of just what he was supposed to say during that interview or whatever in this segment. After that, which Big Cass comes out and he's basically talking about that he's the reason why Daniel Bryan had his setbacks, and he's just so obsessed with Daniel Bryan. More than likely, Enzo Amore just kind of feels like that girlfriend, that ex-girlfriend that just did you so wrong that now you're taking it out on your future girlfriend. And that's what it seemed like. It seemed like they're trying to have this kind of storyline, this angle of what Big Cass is going for. It kind of seemed like they were trying to direct it towards Enzo when Big Cass come back. But ever since Enzo, ever since he was out and Enzo went through his stuff, he got fired, that they just continued the storyline and put it on Daniel Bryan instead of Enzo Amore. So Enzo really just kind of, Big Cass really just kind of sounds right now like a ex-boyfriend that just can't get over what he sounds like a boyfriend that can't just get over what his ex did to him. So now he's taking it out on the future girlfriend or rivalry or whatever. And so that's basically all of what it seemed like. I don't know. It's whatever. So they brawl for a minute. Bryan gets the upper hand by basically going at his newly surgically repaired knee or whatever. And so he ends up basically just dominating him and taking him out by putting him in a really decent, really nice looking submission leg lock or whatever. And he makes him like tap or whatever. But it was actually pretty decent. So he had to leave. Well, Big Cass, they got him out of there or whatever. And so that was the end of that. Next, we had New Day versus The Bar. And we had The Miz on commentary, as well as for the New Day, it was Xavier Woods versus Big E going against The Bar, of course. And so New Day ended up winning, and they qualified for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match with Big E doing a spear to Sheamus through the ropes onto the outside of the ring. And then Woods, he ends up hitting the flying elbow on Cesaro, which basically gave him the victory. And it was whatever. And so from this point on, it's like now they have to pick who's going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. More than likely, I think that they're going to pick Big E. If what I've been hearing from other podcasts and, just rumors or whatever, that sooner or later, the New Day is going to break up. Whether it's going to be somebody turning on somebody turning heel or whatever, breaking them up, or if it's just going to be a neutral breakup to where it's like, okay, we need to focus on our solo careers, so this is what's going to happen. From what I hear, just the rumor is just that I guess more than likely WWE, when that happens, is going to push Big E to the top, basically make him one of the top guys going for the Universal Championship or the WWE Championships. And so I feel like this is probably going to be the beginning. If it hasn't started already, but this is going to be the beginning of Big E's solo push to the top. Since he's got so much better on the mic than he had, been prior to this. But it's yet to be seen. But I feel like they're going to pick Big E. For some reason, that's what I want. I want them to pick Big E. Let me put it like that. But I have a strange feeling that they're gonna either pick Xavier Woods or Kofi to be in the match. But it's whatever. And so what else? Next, we had another qualifying match. And it was a triple threat match with Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville versus Becky Lynch. And it was basically this match was brought on to by Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose coming to Paige and basically kind of, saying that like, yeah, you threw an obstacle at us and we went around it and all this stuff, but still expecting stuff to be handed to them and thinking that last week's match with Mandy Rose and I believe, who was it? She fought. It was Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose versus Becky Lynch. Yeah. So yeah, so she was just basically saying that she thought that it was a qualifying match, but it wasn't. So she said it should have been, and and so she's letting them know. Well, Paige is letting them know that they will get an opportunity to be in the match, which is gonna be Mandy Rose versus Becky Lynch. And so she's like, okay, whatever. I beat her before, I can beat her again. And so Sonya Deville was like, who am I going to face? She said Becky Lynch. And they thought it was going to be a handicap match. And it ended up being a triple threat match, as we all just knew or whatever. So it was a triple threat match with them. And Becky ended up coming out on top by making Mandy Rose tap. So neither one of them get that. And so I feel like they're going to have a storyline revolving around the ex-members of Absolution going against the thing of like maybe doing the whole Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn thing with Shane McMahon and the management is screwing us and blah 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 thing, and I don't know. hopefully they don't go that route. Hopefully this kind of dies out and then they push him on somewhere else. But I mean, it is yet to be seen. We had Andrade Cien. I got the name, Andrade Cien, versus I think he was a local guy, maybe just a squasher guy or a jobber, I guess you could say. Constantino. And of course, you already know Andrade Cien ends up winning with the hammerlock DDT, which is actually a pretty decent finisher. This is my first time actually seeing Andrade Cien, especially just wrestle or whatever, and it was okay. It was cool, whatever. And after that, which I don't know, her Zelina ended up grabbing the mic and talking about this is what you got on SmackDown and blah blah blah, which it wasn't because he's not a part of the SmackDown, roster. But okay, we're just gonna basically just kind of throw away that what is it called, a suspension of disbelief. So yeah, he's part of the SmackDown roster. Yeah, that's good old Jay Constantino, who is the 10-time IC champ. But in any case, so that was the end of that. And then after that, we had Rusev Day had a backstage segment. Aiden English was talking to Rusev about just basically had this little celebration in the back of kind of like him having his own room, with his own locker room and whatever, and the way he decorated it. And he said that he thought he could have did a little bit better, and he told them that, like, look at where we're at. We couldn't do any better than this. And so just trying to talk down the crowd. Now, I don't know if the crowd couldn't hear him or they were just non-responsive. But even when he was trying to talk down the crowd, say this about the city or, just the place that they were at, it was like you didn't hear anybody, any crowd. You didn't hear none of the crowd like boo or anything, but it's whatever. And so I'm kind of confused from last week to this week. So we had basically kind of like the same thing with Aiden English and Rusev talking, and then Alana comes in basically saying that she has a match with who does she have a match with? She has a match with Billie Kay next week for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And so she told Aiden English that he's gonna have to, do a new song, because after she wins, she wants, basically a song and dedicated to her. Which last week she was kind of against. Like, I guess she wanted Rusev to drop Aiden English, because I guess they're trying to put Lana and Rusev back together. But it was like, first you're against them two being together, now you're playing along. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with the storyline. It seemed like management kind of like is on the fence about Rusev because they wanted him to fail, but then he ended up getting more over than a lot of people that they're trying to push on the product. So I don't know. Ever since they announced their engagement during the storyline where they worked together, it was like it just been kind of like a roller coaster ever since then. They have their highs, but then quick lows, then highs and then quick lows. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing with this. After that, we had a Melibration again, and basically she did a whole speech. It seemed like a lazy. I wrote down in my notes. I couldn't think of the word. So I put a poor "I'm better than everyone" speech. That's basically what she gave her. But it's more of just a lazy "I'm better than everyone" speech, because there was no witness to it. She didn't have any type of wits. She didn't have any type of. It wasn't good. Anybody can come out there and say, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, and talk down to the crowd. But it takes a good talker to make it sound really, really good. And she just was not making it sound good at all. Like, she was just, I'm better than you. And it's just like she was just trying to kill time. She didn't know what to say. But it was just, I don't know. I don't know if they just told her to go out there and just say whatever, just hit these points, or if they actually wrote something down for her. And if they did write something down for her, it was just lazy writing, because that was just something that my son could have thought of. My son is almost 8 years old, and if they if they let her come up with it on her own, then that just says a lot about her, that she isn't that good of a talker as people would think or they would want her to be. And yeah, it was just really lazy. But then Paige comes out and tells her that she is to face Asuka at Money in the Bank for the SmackDown Women's title. Asuka then comes out, her entrance, and then Carmella, slides out the ring with her championship, backing up, going away, and that's basically what happened with that. So next week we end up finding out that not only do Lana and Billie Kay have a women's Money in the Bank qualifying match, but Samoa Joe has a match against Big Cass next week in the men's, basically for the last spot. I think it's for the last spot in the men's Money in the Bank qualifier, men's Money in the Bank match. So yeah, those are two matches that I ain't gonna say we're forward to look into, but it's whatever. And then we have Styles versus Nakamura, which the winner of the match picks the stipulation for their championship match at Money in the Bank. Nakamura ends up winning when the ref basically gets almost knocked down, and as he looks up, Nakamura is holding his nuts, as in like he got hit in the nuts or whatever, and he looking at Styles like, did you do that? And Styles is telling him that he didn't do it, and blah blah blah, in which Nakamura takes advantage, and he ends up giving AJ Styles the Kinshasa for the victory, and it ended. So we don't know what the stipulation actually is for the match. We're gonna find it out next week, which I don't have no problem with. That gives something for us to look forward to next, Tuesday or whatever. But as far as Raw and SmackDown, it was okay this week. I didn't care really too much this week. Wasn't too much going on. It was just kind of stalemate. But as far as the men and the women's Money in the Bank ladder matches, so far we have Bobby Roode for the men's. Well, for the men's we have Bobby Roode, Strowman, Owens, Rusev, The Miz, Balor, one member from the New Day, and then we have one more spot that's open. So yeah, one more spot that's open. And for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, so far we have Charlotte, Ember Moon, Alexa Bliss, and Becky Lynch. And that's basically all that's what's going on. And really, that's all I have left to talk about on this episode of the Triple W Podcast. And I'd like to thank you guys for listening and everything else. And I am going to put out another episode. I'm trying to hit Saturdays as being my day for putting out the Triple W Podcast. But things happen in my life to where it kind of delays that or whatever. But in any case, this is episode 13. And like I said, thank you guys for joining. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. So hey, before you guys leave this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and give this video a like, because it will really help me out. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And you see that little bell? That's the notification. Turn that on. That way you'll be notified for anything that drops on my channel. And if you look down in the description below, you will see all the links to my social media. So go ahead and follow me on those if you haven't already. As well as there are links to my other content that's on the channel, from movie reviews to podcasts to so much more. And I hope to see you guys here again next time. So thanks and peace out.